Tonight, the nation is mourning the passing of former President Jimmy Carter. At 100 years old, Carter was the oldest living U.S. president in history, and he leaves behind an enduring legacy of humanitarian work. ABC senior national correspondent Steve Osunsami joining us now from the Carter Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Steve, you had the opportunity to interview the former president multiple times, and you actually were the last person to speak to Carter for a television interview. What will you remember most about him?
I'll remember most about him how much he loved his wife. He told us that over and over again, saying that of all of the decisions, of all of his accomplishments, of all of the things in his life, she was the most special. And it was their love and the love he had for her that kept him going in this world and, as he said, in the next. He was a religious man who had Sunday school services at his hometown church, and it is somewhat fitting, you might say, that he died on a Sunday. This is a man who spent most of his life, post-presidency, trying to heal the world, building houses for the poor, eradicating diseases in foreign countries, helping to ensure free elections. He practiced what he preached. And I think that's why you're going to see such a large outpouring of remembrances for Jimmy Carter here in Atlanta and in the nation's capital in the coming days. Bianca.
Well, you know, Carter had been struggling with multiple health issues in recent years, living in hospice care since early 2023. So there was a lot of time to prepare for this. What do the next few days look like in terms of funeral arrangements and memorials?
Yes, I can.
So he will be buried next to his wife in Plains. There will be remembrances here in Atlanta and in the nation's capital, but the schedule has yet to be determined. Part of the problem is that this is now happening over a holiday. Like you said, they have been preparing for this for years. We've known about the schedule. The U.S. military is involved. Essentially, this is going to be a state funeral, but the holidays does complicate it a little bit in terms of how this is going to spell out over the next several days. Bianca.
Now, Carter may be most well known for his work with Habitat for Humanity. He also had a very complicated legacy when it comes to foreign policy. So how do you think history will remember him?
I think history is going to remember him as a man who held the highest office in the land, but was still at his core a very simple man. I can speak to this personally. I remember interviewing him here at the Carter Center a number of years ago, and it was hot. It was super hot inside, and I was asking them to turn on the AC, and they wouldn't let me because Jimmy Carter had said that they couldn't turn the AC down because he was trying to save money. That's how he lived. He lived a simple life in a small house that was smaller than mine, but he could afford a bigger home. He could have moved to a bigger home, had them build onto that home. But he stayed in that small home alongside that small country road in his hometown. When he stayed in the Carter Center here behind me, he could have had them build him out a gigantic apartment. But I'm told that he and his wife slept on a Murphy bed here at the Carter Center. When he traveled, I flew once and he was on a flight and I saw the Secret Service, and he did this every time he traveled. He would shake the hands of every single person on the plane before the plane took off. I think that's how he's going to be remembered. I think he's going to be remembered as a president who some people may not have thought the best of, but whose post-presidency was exemplary. Bianca.
Steve Osunsami, senior national correspondent. We understand that the former president, a true public servant and living out what he preached. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.